Hello and welcome to the UCSD Education Studies Credential and Masters of Education graduation reception. My name is Emily Okerlund and I'll be representing the multiple subject cohort.
And I'm Jessica Losi and I'm representing the single subject cohort.
This event was made possible by the efforts of a student-run organization called Teachers for Change, which brings together both the multiple subject and single subject cohorts with common goals.
To open up our ceremony, we would like to invite Dr. Alan Daly to the stage. As the chair of the Education Studies Department, Alan Daly brings to the forefront his passion for educational leadership. His work at Education Studies stems from his vast experience in many different roles within the educational field, including his multifaceted experience in public K-12 settings, as well as his research and program development for higher education. Most recently, Mr. Daly and two other researchers studied the connection between social media and educational politics in the study #Common Core. Please join me in welcoming Alan Daly to the stage.
Good afternoon. So I'm like the bad start-off band before the real band comes on. So you'll have to put up with me playing some bad tunes as you wait for the Rolling Stones to come on. And those Rolling Stones are amazing graduates today. So first of all, let me thank all of you. It's a real privilege and honor to be here this afternoon. And as we know, it takes a village to raise a teacher. So we want to thank all the family and friends and community members and faculty and staff that are here today. It's a real privilege and honor to be here. And one of the things that's really important is we think about this day. This is about a journey that's been taken, like a long, intensive, exciting journey filled with a lot of partying, as I think you saw too. So we have a group of folks that want to have some fun, which is absolutely important. And as we think about our work, what I would like to say to the graduates today is that if we want to go fast in this world, we go alone. But if we really want to go far, we've got to go together. And to me, from talking to the faculty and the staff that have worked really closely with these two groups, this is a couple of groups that are really together. And they're going to go far, as we know that they will. And in doing this work, they stand on the shoulders of giants, many of whom are in the room. Family and friends enable those supports to really help people to be successful. And when I think about my own life, and I think about the giants that helped me move forward, I think about my grandma. And that's my grandma right there in the upper left-hand corner. And she's holding me, and I think that haircut is going to come back in style someday. I'm just waiting. But that actually wasn't supposed to be funny, so thanks. And for me, I was the first in my family to go to college. So I'm a first-generation college attendee. So I'm curious, in the audience right now, can you raise your hand if you're a first-generation college attendee? So look around the room. That's a number of people. It is not easy to figure out the rules and the secret dances that are necessary to get into higher education. And so it really takes each other. And it took my grandmother, who just got through 6th grade, actually. And she was really connected to this guy, and I was helping him with his gardening, and I was pulling weeds for this guy. Now, we're not in Colorado, so I'm not talking about that kind of weed. I'm talking about regular garden issues. And he was a really wonderful guy, and he was deeply connected to education. And through that, he enabled me to be really successful. But my grandmother played a really important role in education. In fact, this is a picture of her too. She was a cafeteria lady. But at no point in her career and her time in that school did anyone tell her that her work mattered for public education, that it mattered for student achievement. And I want to argue with you today, the schools that we're going to enter now and the work that we have to do today will take all of us, regardless of what position that we're in. And I come from a long line of cafeteria ladies. That's my mom. She was also a cafeteria lady. So despite the fact that I begged Emily to let me serve you all food because I have cafeteria lady in my DNA, she said no. So you'll have to wait. So my grandmother taught me 3 really important lessons. This idea about passion for what you do, this idea about being clear about the purpose of what we do, and perseverance. And so no matter my position, I recognized that everyone had an important seat at the table. My grandmother also helped me to realize some really important messages as well. So this is a picture of a statue, and it's in Florence, Italy, and it actually stands on the way as you go to look at the David that's there in Florence. And I saw that David for the first time in my life just last summer, and I was really touched by the work that Michelangelo undertook. And this is one of his very famous sculptures. And when you look at this sculpture, you may notice that it looks like a person evolving, coming out of the granite itself. And Michelangelo believed at a very deep level that his work was about removing the obstacles that got in the way to allow the beauty from within to come out. And when I think about folks that are graduating today, and I think about the faculty and staff and all of you that worked with them, this is about releasing those inner diamonds that were inside these rocks. And this is your work as teachers. Our work is to release the beauty and the strength and the energy that already resides in people, that sometimes have been closed up and blocked away by any number of different issues that kids these days have to face. And so today, we're on the eve of a very important person in human history. This is Nelson Mandela. Tomorrow is actually his birthday. And Nelson Mandela said this really amazing quote, and it reminds me of the work and the focus on equity and social justice that all of our graduates have. Nelson Mandela said the following: "For to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others." And our work as educators, no matter our position, is about that. It's about the freedom of others and our role in that. And that's what it takes to be truly free. And it's this value of service and equity that I think epitomizes the teachers that we're going to send forth today. So as you go forth, remember you are part of an interconnected system. When I was in Barcelona doing my Fulbright, I went to visit these amazing ceremony in which people were building human castles. And I'll show you one of those in a second. But as you look at the base of the human castle, you can see people's interwoven, interconnected strength. And you can't tell from looking at this particular picture who is the rich person, who's the poor person, what ethnicity they are, what gender they are. It's hard to tell in this mass of people. But what you can tell is that they are interconnected and interdependent. And the success of what they accomplish, which looks like this, is based on the fact that you can feel somebody's hands on your shoulders, and in turn, you feel the shoulders of the person in front of you.
Wow.
We are all part of an interconnected, interdependent system. When you leave our program, you are still a part of us. You are still a part of one another. You are still a part of the larger community. Never forget that, because it's the strength and our interconnectivity that sets us apart. We are here to support you for as long as you are an educator and beyond. And in turn, you're here to support one another. If we want to do something amazing, if we want to build something that is astronomical in nature and amazing in its stature, we've got to be together. And the work of education requires bold action. Bold action is part of a community. And you'll see at the very top here, it's a 4-year-old boy that kind of scampers up the top of this big human castle. And when he gets to the top, he raises his hand, these 4 fingers, to show the flag of Catalonia, right? The 4 stripes. And so I asked the question when I interviewed people and I talked to them about this because I got to be there and see this. And I said, so what happens if the kid freaks out? Because I will tell you right now, I would freak out. I understood some of our credential folks who are graduating went skydiving yesterday. I get nervous just saying the word skydiving. So when I asked what happens, like if somebody crawls up there and gets scared or doesn't want to go up, what happens? And to a person, they told me that person, that little boy, even if he freaks out and doesn't make it, is still celebrated as part of the team. There are going to be times in your career where you're going to stumble and you're going to fall. And when you are part of a community, somebody will be there to pick you up. And know that we as faculty and staff and as program and colleagues and family and friends, we're here to be with you and to pick you up when you stumble, because that's going to happen. But that's okay, because that's how we grow and that's how we learn. So, it was a beautiful introduction for me, and it is true, I do work around social media and looking at Twitter in particular. And I will tell you, there's a lot of stuff on Twitter. Most of it's comprised of things like this. And so this really wouldn't be a presentation as we send these teachers out into this world that's filled with all kinds of different media, into spaces we don't even know that exist yet. That we think about these selfies and who we are and how we think about ourselves in the world. And while individually you may call these amazing people that we are here to celebrate today daughters and sons and moms and dads and friends and spouses and any number of different things, in the end, today, we all call them teachers. And so it's with a deep privilege and sense of honor that I welcome you all to the profession, and thank you for giving me the privilege to talk to you today.
Thank you, Dr. Daly. Our next speaker was an integral part of the graduate school experience for the multiple subject cohort. With over 20 years experience in a K-8 setting, an MA in curriculum design, and a position as a MAP consultant for a division of Scholastic, he brought a wealth of knowledge and insight to all of our methods courses. This past academic year, he was recognized for his hard work and talent as the recipient of the UCSD Distinguished Teaching Award. However, it was his humor, guidance, kindness, and humility that made us feel supported and respected during our student teaching journeys and drove the multiple subject cohort to elect him as our faculty speaker. Please join me in welcoming Rusty Bresser to the stage.
Welcome. Thanks. I want to thank you, the students for asking me to speak today. I really feel honored, and it's really a privilege. And I also want to thank Susan Sharton, Jim Levin, and Chris Halter for organizing the colloquium today. It's a lot of hard work, and I think it went really smoothly, so why don't we give them a hand. So on behalf of the multiple subject faculty, I want to congratulate the students this year on two big achievements, getting a teaching credential and earning a master's in education. I wish that we could take all the credit for this accomplishment, but seriously, they came to us about a year ago, pretty much prepared in so many different ways. They had a lot of experience. They already had a lot of knowledge, the ability to reflect, and the passion to serve the underserved. This class, the elementary and secondary, really, they're amazing. They're really awesome. And I say that with 100% honesty. One of my jobs, aside from teaching here, is to go off and deliver professional development to classroom teachers. And while the teachers I work with are great, I always come back home here and am so happy to be with our students. And for one reason, they actually listen to us, to listen to what we have to say. They are respectful of us and to one another and supportive. They are open-minded. They're eager to learn. They ask great questions. They're inquisitive. And they're fun, and they're funny, and they laugh a lot, and they laugh at themselves, and they laugh at us, I'm sure, a lot, more than we know. And they take all of these qualities back to the work with them, to the work that they do with the children in their classrooms. You know, it's not easy to become a teacher these days. I mean, when I first became a teacher in 1978, it was a lot easier. I don't think I would ever make it today. And I'm serious about that. And it's especially difficult here at UCSD. Our students have worked really, really hard in the last year or so, and with little social life. However, when I look at the slides, I'm like, how do they ever have time to have any fun? So every year, well, when I get to speak to a group like this at this event, I like to go down a list of all the hard things that they've done and they've accomplished to earn these 2 achievements. So I'm just going to list these things. So to earn their credential and master's degree, they've taken and passed the California Basic Educational Skills Test, the California Subjects Examination for Teachers, the Graduate Records Exam, the Reading Instruction Competency Assessment, and the Teaching Performance Assessment for California Teachers. So those are just the tests that they had to take and pass. They've taken 2 years of coursework, preparing them to teach math, science, health, reading, writing, visual and performing arts, social studies, physical education, strategies for teaching English learners, and strategies for teaching children with special needs. Over the last year and a half, they've put in over 600 hours in the classroom working with children in public schools, many of whom live below the poverty line and have limited resources, are learning English as a second and sometimes a third language, are recent immigrants who are learning about the American education system for the first time in their short lives. And our graduates have student taught in 2 different classrooms with 2 different supervisors and 2 different cooperating teachers. And being a student teacher in somebody else's classroom is kind of like living in your mother-in-law's kitchen with her, staring down at you. I mean, it's really weird living in somebody else's house and having to do a really good job. These graduates have been observed, videotaped, evaluated, and asked to write lesson plans and reflect on those lessons an untold number of times. And they've done a wonderful job in a profession that is not easy, that's not going to pay them what they're worth, but will reward them in ways that are intangible. So we are really proud of you, and we know that you're going to go off and become leaders in your field and help all students, especially those that have been underserved, to experience science through inquiry, learn mathematics with understanding, be exposed to history from multiple perspectives, appreciate and use art as a way of self-expression, see reading and writing as a way to learn about themselves and the world around them, and embrace the languages and cultures of others. So, you are no longer our students. You are our colleagues. And I don't know, we really had a big connection with this class. It's kind of an emotional time for us to let them go. So congratulations, colleagues. Go out and challenge the status quo. We're going to miss you, and please stay in touch. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Rusty. So our next speaker comes to us with a wealth of experience under her belt in secondary education. Her time working as a middle school classroom teacher, as well as a K-12 language arts specialist and curriculum in instruction, provided her with insight and expertise to guide the single subject cohort as they work towards becoming teachers themselves. We have been blessed to work with her this year and her final year at the education studies before her retirement. Marcia, without you, I would not be able to create a graphic organizer or know how to give my best teacher look. I might need to practice that one. We thank you, Marcia, for your timeless commitment to education. Your passion and caring is evident. Please join me in welcoming Marcia Sewell to the stage.
Okay. Is that on, Emily? Okay. We'll see it. Okay. You don't know what happened last year, so all of us that are speaking are kind of going, "Oh, okay." Okay, so good to see all of you, and glad that you're coming. And I thank you very much for inviting me to say a few words at this moment of celebration for all that you've accomplished in your credential and Masters of Education journey, and for me to represent the secondary faculty on this. I'm very happy and honored to be a part of it, but I have to admit it put me in a bit of a quandary when I first agreed to do this. I didn't know what I could say that would be good enough to mark the occasion. As it deserved. The moment you leave this, the moment you leave this program after all the hard work and long hours you've put in that Rusty described, after all you've already accomplished and learned, and embark on being a fully fledged credentialed teacher at last. So then I thought, okay, when I was first heading out into the teaching world, what advice or realities would I have liked to have been told about by someone who spent some time out there that I may not already know? What would I like to know earlier than I did, rather than finding out some important things later, often the hard way? And that led me to this. Emily?
They're working on it in the tech booth, so that's all I can say. It's supposed to be up there.
Okay.
Sorry.
And that's why I brought this. What the slide says, if you could see it. 6 lessons I learned about being a teacher that I wish I'd learned a lot earlier. Number 1, teaching is hard. Okay, you probably already know that one, right? That was probably the first lesson I learned when I entered this profession, and probably the first one all of us learn, and we learn it quickly. But there is no profession, in my opinion, that is more laudable and worthwhile and rewarding, despite the lack of respect shown by many towards our field of work. Well, that's not likely to change, but you know just from going through this year just how hard this job is, just how much of your heart and soul and time and energy you have to put into it, and that's not likely to change either. It does get easier the more you do it, but it's never going to be easy. It will always be demanding, and that's just the nature of the business. But that's the nature of anything that's really worth doing, and teaching is worth doing, even when it's hard. Number 2. It's all about attitude. Life is 10% what happens to me, and 90% how I react to it. Honestly, we didn't plan this. Okay. I ran across this quote, actually an excerpt from a speech, fairly early in my teaching career, at a time when I was frankly not very happy in my work. I was dragging myself to my teaching job and glad to leave it at the end of the day. All I could think about was making it to the next weekend or the next school break. And I won't ask if any of you have already experienced that. Right? Well, clearly I wasn't going to make it if I kept going on like that. Then somehow this quote showed up at just the right time and really resonated with me. So much so that I taped it in a place where I would see it every day. And it helped me think about things differently. I couldn't change a lot of things about my job, but I could change how I approached them. I could change how I looked at them, and I could have an influence on how they impacted me. It made a surprising difference, and as a result, I've lasted another few decades in this business. Okay, we'll just give up on that. Balance, number 3, balance is critical. This is one of the most important things I learned, and it relates to lessons 1 and 2. Teaching is hard, Your attitude can make a big difference. Those are both very true. But teaching can also take over your life if you let it, and your balance will get thrown way off. Remember that being a teacher isn't all of who you are. And I think the slides we showed that they've already learned that lesson. Be sure to make time to nurture the other sides of your person as well. The physical, mental, spiritual, social, and familial sides of your life need your attention as much as your students do. This job requires that you give. Okay, I'm going to go back to the beginning. No. Okay. This job requires that you give a lot of yourself, but keep in mind the difference between giving and sacrificing. Give yourself the gift of what I call sacred time. Some of you have heard me talk about that. That time that is just for you, doing something that refills your tank. It's very important to intentionally carve that time out, because if you don't do it intentionally, you probably won't get it. 4, respect your kids even when they don't deserve it. Maybe especially when they don't deserve it. Some of your kids will really test you, as you may have already experienced. Some of your colleagues will as well, but we're not going to talk about that right now. I found out that some of my kids were the toughest to find anything good about, the ones who seem to exist to drive you crazy every single day, and you know they are never absent. The ones you just want to avoid dealing with as much as possible. I learned that they're the ones who need my attention and respect more than anyone. And when I gave them both, they responded to it. Sometimes that's all a kid needs to step up their game, recognition and respect. It's important to keep in mind that your toughest kids may not be getting that anywhere else. Number 5, you have much more impact than you'll ever know. This relates to lesson 4. There's a Japanese proverb that says, better than 1,000 days of diligent study is one day with a great teacher. Think about it. Over the course of your career, you will personally have an impact on hundreds, even thousands of young people. That's the truth. Over just a 10-year period, an elementary teacher personally impacts more than 300 students, and a secondary teacher impacts anywhere from 1,000 up to 2,000. And the impact you have on each of them affects not just their lives, but goes on to impact others in their lives as well. Not just at the time, but for years to come. It's a ripple effect. What that impact will be, good or bad, is entirely and solely up to you. Number 6, remember to breathe. In my classroom, taped to my overhead projector, you guys will all laugh, overhead projector, where I could see it every day, several times a day, I put a small piece of paper with the word breathe on it. That's because I would forget to do it. When you get caught up in all the craziness of teaching and managing a room full of kids, that's the first thing to go, breathing. That and smiling. I've seen it a million times with new teachers I've worked with. They forget to breathe and smile. I assure you, the job is a lot easier and a lot more fun if you do both. And if it takes taping a note somewhere to remind yourself to do that, then so be it. So there are 6 things I wish I'd known a lot earlier than I did. There are many more lessons I wish I'd learned earlier, but you'll find them out soon enough if you haven't already. And that's one of the beauties of this profession, though. You never run out of things to learn. There's always something new to experience, to realize, to find out more about. I'm not sure that's true of all jobs. I hope you'll find your future in this profession to be one of lifelong learning and enjoying the journey to the max. So far, you've done a great job of demonstrating both, and as Rusty said, we really mean that 100%. You're a special couple of groups. And our hope is that you'll continue on that path and keep making the positive impact on this profession and the kids you teach that you have shown us this year. Congratulations on this important and happy achievement of completing this very rigorous but hopefully memorable year. Good luck. I'll tell you, you think we rehearsed this. Good luck, do good work, and most importantly, have fun. It's been a pure joy spending this year with you. Thank you.
of scared to touch the computer. I might just leave that. Okay. When the multiple subject cohort was asked to vote for a student to represent us as our graduation speaker, so many names of our incredible colleagues came to mind. However, one member of our cohort shone brightly, and I'm thrilled to introduce her as our speaker tonight. Alicia Edmondson entered our program having already taught for 3 years in Korea as an English teacher. Here at Education Studies, she has shown nothing but support, insight, and professionalism with her colleagues in the multiple subject cohort. This fall, she will begin her career as a kindergarten teacher at Albert Einstein Academies in San Diego. Please join me in welcoming Alicia Edmondson to the stage.
So it took me about 12 steps to get up on this stage. And in all honesty, I stepped nervously and slowly to deliver this speech. So I'm wondering, as teachers, how do we take our steps? Carefully, boldly, or lively? So in these few minutes, I want to discuss who we are, where we are headed, and the steps that we've taken to get to this point in time. First of all, we need to send a big thank you to Education Studies distinguished faculty, staff, our parents, siblings, significant others, and friends for being here to celebrate with us. I represent one of 23 voices of the graduating EDS 2015 multiple subject cohort, and I wholeheartedly thank my peers for electing me to speak and represent us this afternoon. As a cohort of friends, we have engaged in potlucks, professional development conferences here in San Diego and in Palm Springs, happy hours, holidays, birthdays, and engagement celebrations. This afternoon, we stepped into this ballroom to engage in another celebration, highlighting our hard work and success. It is no secret that education in the US today is in need of innovation. This UCSD 2015 cohort has been committed to innovation and compassion with our students. We will continue to lend an ear to a troubled child who needs to be heard. We have committed ourselves to education, and this is important because education is a critical component of life that teaches us to be better people, and we are a living testament to that. Each of us has had a teacher, or perhaps several teachers, that made us feel special. We came to UCSD to learn to pass that baton of compassion from those model teachers of the past to our future students. In this program, we learned that significant numbers of teachers leave the teaching profession. In fact, in class, Professor Susan Sharton shared with us that there are challenges recruiting and retaining teachers, and 22% of California teachers leave within the first 4 years. I wonder who will be left standing. I am sure we will all step up to the plate to overcome any obstacle and remain teaching in order to disrupt that percentage. By virtue of completing this program, our chances have greatly improved because Susan ended on a lighter note. When students complete a 5-year program, including the credential year and the Masters of Education, 80 to 90% stay. Multiple subject. Please join me in a thumbs up response if you feel EDS have prepared you well as an educator. We are so grateful for the supportive and brilliant faculty members who willingly provided us with elementary curriculum, activities, strategies, and their personal expertise. We thank you hastily to replying to our emails and consistently calling and texting us back when we needed advice after a challenging day at our student teaching placements. Most importantly, we thank you for having faith and advocating for us by recommending our cohort for teaching positions to your contacts, like individuals in HR and principals in different school districts. EDS faculty have called us to step up, and we now have the tools to take that next step forward. To my cohort, multiple subject, do I need to remind you of all the victories we have had in the last 11 months? Remember to give ourselves credit for all the time we went that extra mile, giving that final finishing touch on a lesson plan when we felt like collapsing into bed. Our cohort is comprised of amazing people who identify as wives, fiancés, boyfriends, girlfriends, mothers, sisters, brothers, sons, and daughters. But of those categories, we are teachers. But some of us are dancers, singers, poets, artists, actors. Over this year, we skillfully managed our personal endeavors as well as our responsibilities as graduate students and student teachers. I personally admire how you all made it happen with no excuses and no exceptions. Thank you for setting examples of excellence for all of us to emulate. In your classroom, you and your students will create rules. May I indulge in 3 rules for you? 1, you always have support. Support from our professors, EDS staff, family members, friends, the cohort, and your new coworkers. 2, never give up. Have faith in yourself and continue stepping forward with your students. 3, try to have fun. We don't do it for the money, we do it for the joy it brings. We are all walking the common path of education and have taken our first steps here at EDS. Our learning has just begun. Our next steps will be at an elementary school in San Diego, the South Bay, North County, LA, the Bay Area, and even abroad. Who is to say how many steps you will take to achieve your educational goals? Let us all engage in a pleasant journey as you step forward and continue to connect with, support, and challenge your students as you take those steps with them. Thank you.
Thank you, Alicia. The single subject cohort was asked to vote a student to represent us as our graduate speaker, and one member of our cohort stood out. I am so happy to introduce him as our speaker tonight. Tyler Banta has experience teaching biology, earth science, PE, music, home brewing, and surfing. In the classroom, he likes to ask his students what type of animal they would be and why. When asking Tyler this same question, he answered he would be a puffin because he likes the idea of feeling comfortable in multiple environments such as on land, water, or in air. And they do this all while looking ridiculously good looking. Tyler has brought so much joy to our cohort by writing and performing songs about science in our classes and has grown to be one of my closest friends. This fall, he will begin his career as an earth science teacher at Kearney High School in San Diego. Please join me in welcoming Tyler Banta to the stage.
I gotta get a prop real quick.
Don't die. It's fine.
So since you called me out on the song, I guess we'll go with that. It's a bigger crowd than I thought. So first of all, I want to thank my colleagues for letting me speak on their behalf. I'm truly honored to be up here. And I hope my words will speak well enough to describe our incredibly emotional, strenuous, heartfelt journey to this day. So as you can see, we're going to do a little bit of a little singing today. Because most times I end up in front of this cohort, they usually convince me to play a song. Because I sing a lot of parodies of earth science with earth science vocabulary, so we might as well keep the tradition. This is the largest crowd I've ever played guitar for, so bear with me. And I do want to give a lot of credit to my 4th grade teacher who really inspired me to bring music into the classroom. He would always do it whenever he could, and it's really transferred over to me. So Mr. Brown, thank you for that. It's funny how it comes full circle. So, might as well get going, like a sound check. Is that loud?
Okay.
All right. When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we'll see, long as you stand by me. So we're going to analyze this song in an earth science perspective. So in the first verse he says, when the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we see. Oh dear. Where is it?
Upright, upright. You're good.
Cool, got it, okay. So, the first scenario for the sun being removed from the sky when it's dark is, well, day-night, right? Pretty normal. Just normal to be afraid of the dark, the unknown, the unseen. It's a short-term darkness. It's just, you know, the earth rotates and the night's gone, or the night comes. Sorry. The second scenario for removing the sun from the sky is a little bit more extravagant. I really like metaphors, as some of you guys know. So, the other way to remove the sun from the sky is if it runs out of fusible elements, like hydrogen and helium, as you can see at the top right there. It produces a lot of energy, it gives us the heat and light that we know, and brings brightness into our life. So, if our sun, it will happen in about 4 to 5 billion years, it'll run out of hydrogen and helium, it'll expand, engulf Mercury and Venus, and come very close to Earth. And this is a much more long-term kind of darkness. But regardless of the night or the red giant stage of our sun, I still hope that you'll stand by me. Now, there were many times in this program where we felt that darkness, where our personal lives had gone. Almost to the point where we thought they might not come back. And I think a lot of others would likely say the same thing, that we had so much work sometimes that it felt like we didn't have personal lives, we didn't have social lives, and it wore on us. But we had incredible instructors, and professors, and colleagues who helped us sustain that light with their passions, their calming presence, and, and their humor and grace. They gave us so many ideas and so many resources to keep our core burning alive, our hearts and our brains healthy. We also had each other to vent to in second period preps, Taco Tuesdays, and we forced each other to get out in the water sometimes, even if we didn't have enough time to get out there and surf, and to continue the passions that we all have. Even if the light seemed dim at the time, it was sustained by our colleagues and our professors. Let's go to the second verse. If the sky that we look upon should tumble and fall, or the mountains should crumble to the sea, I won't cry, no, I won't shed a tear, just as long as you stand by me. So, although I can't really fathom the atmosphere literally falling any more than it already has, it's separated by layers of temperature and density. I think the metaphor that we're going to go with is, and that I think Ben King is getting at, is like a cosmic event from the sky that can like set fire to the sky or something. So like a gamma ray burst, or an asteroid, or a comet kind of thing coming in. Even the current climate change from an increased greenhouse effect can result in a fair amount of atmospheric stress that's going to shift what we see as normal weather. The climate change is going to alter landscapes, relocate water, and with all this change, we're going to have to learn how to adapt with all of it. But as far as the mountains crumbling to the sea, happens every day. You see it here at La Jolla Shore as the cliffside erodes away, but at the same time, mountains are being formed, like the Himalayas, at the convergent boundaries. And so that's, some of you guys might know that convergent boundaries gonna quake. Taylor Continental Drift parody. But despite all these incoming asteroids, possible gamma ray bursts from exploding stars far off in space, climate change, all the erosion and earthquakes that come with it, I still hope you stand by me. Now, for those of you that are here supporting all of us graduates today, we thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts. I hope you know how much of a rock you were for us, how you held us up to keep us stable so that we could reach higher and perform better. We thank you for your perspective as you reminded us throughout our constant reflection in this program that we were not poor teachers, but that we would become better teachers. Throughout this program, we were asked to dismantle our core beliefs and analyze them thoroughly. Beliefs about culture, race, and language, and how these beliefs can trickle down into our students. And it was a bit of a shock and a stressor to really analyze this and see how it affected our lives and the lives of people around us. However, dismantling and reorganizing the way we think offers an opportunity for new growth and new beginnings. Just as an asteroid wiped out the dinosaurs and gave rise to mammals, and humans are here today, we dismantled our beliefs, reorganized them, and now we have become better teachers because of it. So, we might as well sing the song to be scientifically accurate now. And the choruses, I know some of the scientific vocabulary, you're not really going to know it, and I don't have the lyrics up here, but please sing along with the choruses if you would. So when the night has come, or the sun expands, and a white dwarf is the only light we'll see. No, I won't be afraid. No, I won't be afraid. Just as long as you stand by me. So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. Now with the sky that we look upon should bring comets or gamma ray bursts. All the mountains should crumble to the sea. No, I won't cry. No, I won't shed a tear. Just as long as you stand by me. So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. Now, sadly, this may be the last time that some of us stand next to each other, in a literal sense. Some of us are moving away from San Diego, some up to the Bay Area, some all the way to the East Coast. But I hope that we continue to stand by each other, share our experiences, and grow as educators and people, especially through the great communication tools that Professor Halter has shown us all this great technology in the 21st century. And for those of you staying in San Diego, if you ever want to go out for an adventure or tacos, you let me know. I know that if we stick together, we can move mountains in the education system and forge a new path for the growth and development of the youth that enter our classrooms. I feel so blessed to have shared the company of my colleagues and professors, although we're all colleagues now, right? It has been a very long haul this past year, but I've learned so much and grown so much stronger because of each and every one of you. And I hope you all feel the same. So as we embark on our careers as educators, I want to wish you all a blessing from my own Scottish background. May the road rise to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face. May the rains fall soft upon your fields. And may your classroom thrive as you do alongside your loved ones. Thank you.
That was entertaining. Thank you so much to all of our eloquent speakers. We have now reached the portion of our program in which we recognize the hard work and accomplishments of all of our individual graduates. Graduates, when your name is called, please enter on the left-hand side of the stage. To help us recognize Teachers for Change and the single subject cohort, I invite Dr. Rachel Millstone to the stage. A former classroom teacher of 5 different secondary subjects, Rachel is particularly knowledgeable in science and language arts, serving as a San Diego Area Writing Project Fellow and working actively with the National Science Teachers Association. Rachel now serves as a compassionate and knowledgeable coordinator for the Secondary Credential Program at UCSD's Education Studies. We are honored to have her as part of our graduation ceremony. Please join me in welcoming Rachel Millstone to the stage.
I just get to call names. Congratulations to the entire class of 2015. Michelle Atienza. Jared Markowitz. Emily Okerlund. Jessica Losi. Natasha Bamchik. Tyler Banta. Allison Best. Genevieve Bjorn. Monica Carapia. Juan Chong. Brian Constantino. Siobhan Cruz Kelly. Monica Chiquez. Christiane Deowan. Christina Ferry. Zach Height. Mason Holland. Sandro Yaki. Rabiz Khan. Ricky Lau. Eamon Marchant. Daphne Melgar. Alexandra Paris. Shayna Pang. Enrique Romero. Eric Sumida. Lauren Weintraub. And James Whalen. Please join me in congratulating the class of 2015.
So I'm gonna, faculty, I'm gonna call your name, and when I do, please come on stage to receive a very special gift from us, and then stand like we did for a fabulous photo shoot. Marcia Sewell. Bobby Allen. Cheryl Forbes. Chris Halter. Liz Chung. Rachel Millstone. Susan Sharpton. Rusty Bresser. Linda Whiteside. Liz Pappas. Karen Holtzman. And Alan Daly, of course.
We're good, we got it. We would like to invite Chris Califano to the stage.
Hi everyone, my name is Chris. I'm in the ASL cohort, so I graduate next year, but and excuse my attire, I just got off work before I came here. But I'd like to extend a really big thank you to the entire faculty here, as well as single subject, multiple subject. I had the privilege of working with all of you and learning from all of you, and it was absolutely amazing. So with the help of everyone here, I was able to design a gift for the EDS faculty, and let's see. So it's a tree, and it says, thank you for help, thanks Jared. It says, thanks for helping us grow, thank you for helping us grow. And it symbolizes our, it symbolizes our eternal thanks to all of you, but also our growth that we've all come across throughout this program, because I'm sure we all